Hi guys, welcome to the channel, Practical Reefer. My name's Mark and today I'm going to be finally filling the Reefer XL200. Got an old t-shirt on and I've collected myself, over the last few weeks, 200 litres plus of natural seawater. I've probably got about 240 kicking about, but I'm also using it for water changes, so I've got a bit extra. I'll probably imagine only need maybe 180 litres, we'll find out. I'll keep a note of that as well, so it's quite handy when you're adding treatments and things, if you're wanting the actual water volume. Probably more for medications, which hopefully I'll never need, but it's good to know the actual water volume, so I'll keep a note of that. Also today I'm going to be kind of basically doing an instant cycle on the tank. Now it won't be a fully mature tank and it'll still probably go through an ugly stage later on, but in terms of the nitrogen cycle, we've got the Ocean Direct Live Sand, so that'll be going in. It's an 18 kilo bag. It's obviously an American product. It's £40 is what you guys refer to, but 18 kilos in British or Scottish money. And basically, so I've got that. I will also be taking, I've got the little 25 litre, I've got a little 5-gallon tank with some Mollies in it. Now that's got a load of rock in there that's been running for probably 6 to 8 months. Under a frag rack, so there's no algae or anything on it. I'm probably going to take those out, pop them in the sump, so there's bits of rock there, which is enough to support the Mollies, which will go in the tank. I'm going to take some nice mature rock out of the nano. I say mature, maybe it's a year plus. I'm going to take some of that rock out of there. There's been lots of live rock added to that tank, or bits of live rock from frags and little colonies of zoas and things that I've added over the year. So hopefully there's a lot of nice biological life on there that I'll be adding in small pieces, and over time it'll colonise the reefer in full. And what I will say as well is the stuff that I'm taking out of the nano, there's no visible pests in the nano, so it's over a year old now. So yeah, going to get some nice mature rock from the nano, and then some from the 5-gallon, which will get closed down because it was literally just to hold some frags and things, which will eventually, I'll put frags in the sump of the reefer. And I can put the rock from the 5-gallon straight into the sump. So that rock will support the Mollies that are going in. It'll keep them happy in terms of the nitrogen cycle and ammonia and nitrite and nitrate. So yeah, the tank will be up and running straight away. We'll have some Mollies in there. They'll get the cycle going. We'll start to get the rest of this rock colonised with bacteria. And over a few weeks, I think it'll be in a good place. I'll probably not put the light on it with the first week or two either. I'm going to just start pouring water into this. I'm going to start with the weir box, fill that up, and then just make sure that none of the O-rings in the bottom of the weir box, which then obviously sit over the sump, none of them are compromised, and they've been replaced in my video a few weeks ago. So we'll fill up the weir first, make sure there's no leaks, and then we'll keep filling up, and we'll start to fill up the tank then after that. So we'll get this filled and we'll get a look at it, and we'll go over what I've added to get it cycled straight away. So guys, that's 150 litres into the tank, well, the tank, weir box and sump. The sump's a little bit overfilled at the moment, so the water's not even going through the baffles, it's just going straight into the return. So I've plugged in the electrics, and I've switched on just the return pump only, nothing else is switched on. And it'll take a while for the sump to drain. There's probably a good 10 litres at least that needs to come through the pump to come into this tank. And I've got 15 litres of water here, which will make 165 litres, so that's maybe where we're going to end up. The pump automatically comes on onto feed mode, which we're going to switch off, and it's going on to number 1. So I'm just going to keep pouring in water. The sump is actually really overfilled at this point. I'm going to save myself some effort because it's been quite a lot actually lifting it up into the tank. So hopefully we get up to the weir box, or the openings on the weir before the sump runs dry, and there's still quite a lot of water in the sump actually, so we might be okay. we shall see. Saved me a little bit of effort this, just putting it into the sump rather than into the tank first. I do have quite a lot of sand, we might take some out later on. I've not even put in all the sand, to be fair. So we're a little bit more there. We're actually now just starting to lower the return chamber ever so slightly. This might just be perfect. Need just a little more. There we go, we're starting to go for the rear box. And that's just got continuous flow through the sump, back into the main tank and back down. Job's a good one. So guys, that took about 160 litres of water there. I've got 5 just sitting, so it's just about perfect. Although I do need to raise the baffle before the return chamber, so probably will need that 5 litres once I raise that baffle up a little bit and get a bit more volume in the sump. One last thing to do is it comes with a biomagnet clarifier. So this is just to be mixed in some of the tank water and then put into the tank with an area with good flow. So I've kind of just cut this open already a little bit. Squeeze this into the jug there. Get rid of that. Always have a cloth, always have a towel. Pair of long tweezers will do. And then I will pop this in. I'll actually put the wave maker on, which I'll show you that another day. And I'm just going to pop this in front of the wave maker. So yeah, we've got that in, it'll start clearing. We're sitting at 19.2 degrees. I'm sure we're about 18.5 when I put the water first in and first switched on the temperature controller. So we're up, excuse that, sticking by hand. We're up sort of half or nearly a degree already. So we'll give this a few hours, we'll get the Mollies and we'll get some of the rock out of the nano and the 5 gallon. We'll get that in and we'll get this running. So guys, we're about 24 hours later. As you can see, we're up to temperature, 25.4 degrees, it's set to 25.5. Tank's cleared out as well. I used the biomagnet clarifier, but I also put in a big piece of floss into the filter sock holder for the sump. And I think that did a lot of the heavy lifting and took out a lot of the fine particles that were floating about in the water. So tank's looking good, we're up to temperature. Really happy with that. So the plan is today is to basically instant cycle the tank. I'm going to throw in the Mollies, which I'll just show you in a minute, we'll come back to that. But in terms of the life that I'm wanting in the tank, so I want copepods, amphipods, micro bristle stars, or micro brittle stars, which I will show you one here, which I've just taken out another tank. So I've got one there, that'll go in. So copepods, amphipods, micro brittle stars, probably some bristleworms, which I personally don't mind. That's debatable with different people, but I think they're a great cleanup crew and they do a good job. So wanting to get those in, so I'm going to take a couple of bits of rock from the nano. And the good thing about the nano is I know that I don't have any Aptasia, I don't have any vermitid snails, and I've only ever seen 1 or 2 Asterina stars. Now, I will check the rock that's going in and make sure there aren't any on that, but they're just either not doing that well in that tank or they're just very well hidden. And again, I have another tank that's absolutely full of Asterinas that came on some rock that someone gave me, and they do a great job at cleaning the glass, along with dove snails and stomatella snails, which I'll also be adding to this later on when there's some algae. And they do a great job at cleaning algae, and I've seen the Asterinas eat a dead zoopolyp, which I crushed with tweezers by accident, and then carry on eating algae and just continue on to what it does normally. So I think the type I've got in that tank definitely don't eat corals, I hope. So I'm tempted to add them, and I know you can get a bumblebee shrimp which will eat Asterinas, but it will also eat other things. It's not like a harlequin where it's stuck. Once you've ran out of Asterinas, then it starves. So that's an option. I do ponder adding Asterinas. Let me know your thoughts below. It's something that little tank that I've had for about 2 months now, I've scraped the glass once, and it has a little bit of algae on the glass, but very, very little. I'll show you guys later in another video. But let's go and check out the Mollies and the rock that's going to support this just now. And when I mean an instant cycle, I'll show you. So guys, when I say an instant cycle, I'm actually just stealing rock from another tank. Now, this tank's been running probably for about 7 or 8 months. So it started off with all these tiny baby Mollies when they were very, very tiny. You'll have seen it in one of my previous videos, and now they've grown a bit. Obviously they've got to a slightly bigger size. Now, this rock here is kind of matured with them, but it's also been sat under a frag rack, so it hasn't had any light, and it's kind of free from algae and things. That's absolutely rammed full of copepods and amphipods. And we've also got a couple of very much like clams. It's like a little filter feeding mollusk of some sort. I think that's the right word. So it's like a sort of clam or mollusk, and there's another one there, dead centre. So there's a couple of those in there, and these will just go straight into the sump and will cover the biological needs of the reefer, while the new dry rock, and I've obviously got the Ocean Direct live sand in there as well, which has got plenty of bacteria in it. So probably more than enough to cover these Mollies, and then they can grow in time, and then once I start to put more fish in, it'll be absolutely fine. So going to grab this rock out, we're going to get into the sump, and then we're going to get the fish in. So guys, here we are 2 days later now. The tank's cleared up really, really nicely, and the Mollies are perfectly happy. Obviously they've got enough biomedia there to cover their needs, but we'll quickly go over that. So into the sump, probably about 80% of the rock from the little 5 gallon is in the sump there, so that's full of copepods and amphipods, and I've actually placed a micro brittle star in there as well, so hopefully that'll populate with lots of life and eventually feed the tank with copepods, possibly for some new additions later down the line. The biomagnet clarifier was used, but I also popped in a big chunk of floss, which I think helped remove a lot of the detritus. However, some of it did make it through, so I do need to give the base of the sump there a bit of a clean, a bit of a blast with a turkey baster just to get that flowing through. And then I need to tidy up the wires. Now I'm pretty happy with where everything's sitting. I can get the cable ties out and tidy things up and get it all into the right place. And then on the tank itself, we'd added a piece of rock from the Nano. So I've just kind of bridged that between this piece of base rock, which is sitting in the front, and then this larger structure, just so that bacteria can just make direct contact with the new rock and start to populate it. And obviously with the Mollies producing ammonia and nitrite and nitrate and getting that cycle going, so start to mature up this rock. And then also at the back, I took one of the pieces from the 5 gallon and kind of wedged it between the base piece at the front left and the bigger tower at the back, so it's kind of just making contact there. Doesn't necessarily need to do that, you could have just popped it anywhere, but I thought it might as well make contact with a rock that I'm wanting to get populated with that bacteria. Might just speed it up ever so slightly. But yeah, that's us there. That's all the Mollies in. That's actually been 3 days in total now that they've been in. Absolutely no issues, no losses. And obviously I know there's copepods, amphipods, micro brittle stars, bristle worms, and lots of beneficial bacteria from my 2 other tanks. So it's in a really good place. I probably won't put the lights on anytime soon. I'll just kind of keep that going. Maybe give it a few weeks at least, or a month before I put the lights on in high power. It's a very bright room anyway, so really, really happy with that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a very, very quick way to get a tank going and at least start the cycle with the rest of the dry rock. Obviously for me, I knew that the rock I had in the 25 litre was enough to cover the needs of all the Mollies. But you could maybe ask a local reefer to store some dry rock in their sump for a few weeks or a few months and get that cycling and get that rock, you know, semi-mature. And then obviously when you come to put that in your tank, you're already a little bit ahead of the game. Obviously you still need to be careful not to be going in and filling it with corals and lights on full whack, and you know, and then you've got the potential for algae issues. The rest of the tank still needs to mature, but it's a very good leg up to get you started. So yeah, you might be able to do something like that, or an LFS that you trust that maybe has some pest-free tanks that you can get that rock in and get that cycling. That might be a way to do it for you as well. But I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Just one last thing, if there's anyone local to me in Scotland, I'm in Kirkcaldy in Fife, so if anyone's coming across this way, or if I happen to be heading your way at some point, if you would like some saltwater Mollies, give me a shout and we can maybe sort something out, because I don't need all 30 of these. There's around about 30. It's quite hard to count them because they do not stop. Yeah, if someone's after a few of these, let me know either in the comments below or give me a little message on Instagram, and we can maybe sort something out and get a few of these away, because I don't need all of these. Once now they're growing and stuff, they're big enough that they won't go down the combs of a weir, so they're fine to go into a tank. So if anyone wants some of them, let me know and we can maybe sort something out, and I can try and get some of these to you, because I don't need them all. And just one last thing, just don't forget to give me a little like, guys. Give me a little comment below, what do you think of this method, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.